In his first televised interview after meeting Russian President Putin in Alaska, Trump said that it was up to Zelensky to whether or not make a deal with Russia to end the war.
We were together almost 3 hours, and it was very extensive, and we agreed on a lot of points. I mean, a lot of points we're agreed on, but there's not that much. There's, one or two pretty significant items, but I think they can be reached. Now it's really up to President Zelensky to get it done. And I would also say the European nations, they have to get involved a little bit, but it's up to President Zelensky. I think we are, and if they'd like, I'll be at that next meeting. They're going to set up a meeting now between President Zelensky and President Putin.
In the interview, Trump declined to reveal the main sticking points between himself and Russian President Vladimir Putin on achieving a conclusive peace deal in Ukraine.
In your press conference, you talked about a lot of things that you agreed on, and maybe one big issue you don't agree on. Are you prepared to go public with that?
No, I'd rather not. I guess somebody's going to go public with it. They'll figure it out. But no, I don't want to do that. I want to see if we can get it done. It's not a done deal at all.
Well, Trump claimed that Ukraine was unable to make a deal with Russia as his predecessor, Joe Biden, and European leaders pumped a lot of money into the war.
The meeting was a very warm meeting. He's a strong guy, he's tough as hell and all of that. But the meeting was a very warm meeting between two very important countries, and it's very good when they get along. I think we're pretty close to a deal. Now, look, Ukraine has to agree to it. Maybe they'll say no, because Biden handed out money like it was candy, and Europe gave him a lot of money. We gave him $350 billion. Europe gave him much less, but still a lot, $100 billion.
With no summit deal reached with Putin over ending war in Ukraine, WION spoke with analysts to weigh in on what they make of the Alaska summit. And this is what they had to say. Listen in.
What I think happened is this. There was a meeting. There hasn't been a meeting like this really in the 4 years that this war has been going on. And so it's pretty important that the meeting take place. The second thing is that the United States has put huge pressure on Russia. The allies have put huge pressure on Russia. Some of that pressure is being felt in India right now. And the message to Putin is the whole world wants to see this crisis resolved. I call it an invasion more than a crisis, but the Russians are using the word crisis. Either way, whatever the causes were, it's not worth killing so many people. It's not worth knocking down so many people's houses. It's not worth the global disruption that it's caused. In India, you see it with tariffs, and you see it with oil supplies. Here in Alaska, we see it with lack of cooperation on fisheries, on overflights, on science. And it's about time that we got back to normal working together.
Well, it's a failure for Trump. Trump initially said that, he will like to get a ceasefire, which he did not. Secondly, but obviously he had some benefits probably worked out behind the lines, behind the scenes, maybe for his American companies to invest or get more business out of Russia. That may be one plus point he would have had. But as far as solving the Ukraine problem, he said that on the day one he will solve, which he did not. And he is now leaving it to Ukraine to solve itself. And telling Ukraine that Russia is a very, very strong power, and Ukraine has to be watchful of that when they are negotiating with them. The Europeans are, thrown out. They have nothing to say except funding Ukraine for the armaments they will be receiving from the US pool or whatever. US arms will be paid for by Europeans for supplying to Ukraine.
This conflict is not simply about territory. It's not simply about all about Ukraine either. So I think what we're seeing is, this conflict, which has been going on now for 35 years, which is that in the 90s, the agreements for pan-European security architecture, they were cancelled in favor of a hegemonic peace, so pursued through NATO expansion. And this ended up creating a Europe where the largest country in Europe should not have a seat at the table or even have its security concerns taken seriously. So this has been building up for a lot of time, and this manifested itself in this war, and the failure to address the war or the root cause of the war resulted now in 3 years of no diplomacy, territorial disputes now. So when the Russians say they have to address the root causes, they actually mean we have to walk back for these past 35 years and actually deal with how we ended up in this conflict.